I'm going to talk about effective communication, assertiveness, and how to deal with conflict with communication. So often people have conflict similar to their family of origin. So just imagine for a few minutes how you usually deal with conflict. Often it's the way you then deal with conflict in the office. What are some communication skills that help you with dealing with conflict? Some of you have said listening, understanding, and seeing things from each other's perspective. So just imagine if there was an elephant in this room, and say one of you was standing there, one of you was standing there, and I was standing here, and maybe Anit was standing the other side. So the person who's standing over there will see the trunk, and the person who's standing there will see the tail. And if I ask that person to describe an elephant, they would say trunk, and I would say a leg, depending on where you stand. So what we're trying to say from that is that people see the truth, which is the elephant, from their perspective, depending on where they're standing. So in life, there is this elephant that's sitting in the room, imaginary one, is if you stood 3 centimeters in front of it, you would see different things. But if we all reported, we would report different things, but it doesn't mean we're wrong. So just because if Nick describes it as the tail or the trunk, and I describe it as a foot, it's not wrong. It's just that I'm seeing the whole picture from a different perspective. So one of the things about conflict is how can we deal with conflict? If we had an orange here, so with Anit, if that was an orange and we were to grab it, and because you want it and I want it, so I'm going to take the orange, and so let's both try and grab it, and then look, it falls. So we've wasted it. But if we Anit and me communicated, would you say that it would help?
We can share it.
Yeah, we could share it. And when we communicate, we realize, what do you want from the orange?
Juice.
Oh, okay. And I actually you wanted what? Pulp. And I wanted the peel.
The skin.
Yeah. So if we communicated, we would realize that everyone can have a win-win. Yeah. So we can all have a win-win situation if we communicated. So in life, having good communication helps you to understand each other's perspective. What are some good communication skills to help you understand each other's perspective?
Listening.
Anything else? Anyone else?
Open-minded.
Open-minded. Okay.
More expressive.
Yeah. Being I think the other time someone said non-judgmental. Yeah. So, and what's some attitude you have to have when you are listening to someone?
Patience.
Yes, and empathy. So if you feel for the person with compassion. So when you have a conflict with someone, it's important to see things from the other person's perspective. I haven't got my sunglasses here, but say if I have a bad day, so I'm going to wear glasses, and imagine if I had dark glasses, everything I see is dark and gloomy. But say if I took off the glasses and I saw it through a clear lens. So let me see. This is a clear lens, so suddenly I can see things clearly through a clear lens. So in life, if you look at things from a different perspective, you can have a different experience. An example can be, there is a philosophical book by Alex Solzhenitsyn. One looked through the bars, saw scars when they saw through the bars. Like this guy, Alex Solzhenitsyn, was in prison for nearly 20 years, and when he looked out, he saw stars, but other people saw scars. I'm not very good with detail. It might not have been 20 years. But I think one of his favorite poems was, I feel love, I feel God even when I don't see him. So people can see things from different perspectives. So someone has a disagreement, what usually happens when someone disagrees with you, when someone irritates you, what happens to your body? Do you feel relaxed or stress? Okay, so stress is not good for the body. It's good if you want to run, or you are on a race, or you're doing an exam, so you can express the stress. But stress in itself, if you just let it stay in your body, can become toxic if you don't energize it in some way. So an example is, with the 9/11, the people who watched the burning building got PTSD, a lot of them, and the ones who were running down didn't, because they were dispersing the stress. So sometimes when we have a lot of conflict in work or in our lives, it's very good to de-stress, and one of the ways is through movement, through exercise. So I have a punching bag where I get my stress out, and I have a pillow. Can't remember where I put the pillow, but I have the soft pillow that I just bolster thing. Maybe Angie could show a very good way in helping us to remember is when we have props, and I've got a pillow there you could bring there, and I'll show you. That's a pillow that how I de-stress. Just one of the pillows there. That's the one that you're holding. Sorry, I probably should have had it close by, but and so I usually, when I'm very upset with something or situation, I just get the stress out, and I just say I'm annoyed at the person. I hate them. They did this to me. But by doing that, I get my stress out, and so when I see them, I actually feel a bit more relaxed. Although sometimes when people are stressed at us, it does motivate us to behave, but sometimes it's better when you're de-stressed to communicate with the person, especially in an office situation or work situation where you want to be clear about what you want. So be aware of your it's very important when you've had a conflict to be aware of your concerns, your fears, and your wants. So when you think of a conflict or a problem, just for a moment think, what are your concerns? What are your fears? What do you want? So an example is, say if you're in a job and your bosses tells you off, what is your concerns? What is your fears? What is your worries? Just think about it for a moment, and maybe for a few seconds share it with the other person. Just for a moment, maybe just 1 or 2 minutes, just share with each other.
What is your fears?
Fears? My fears?
While having conflict.
Yeah. Yes, maybe because we're a small group, we can share among each other. Yeah. If your boss is mad at you, what would be your needs and your concerns
they
or
will
fears?
hit me.
Yeah, so that would be your concerns and fears. What would be your worries at work if your boss is upset with you?
Am I being rude to them?
All right. Yeah. And what else what would worry you if your boss was mad at you at work?
I will lose a job.
Yeah. So that would be stressful. So it's good to recognize your fears before you communicate with the person. So if I was scared of my job and I talk to the person straight away, I'll be like, boss, I want a pay rise. Can you imagine if I actually said I want a pay rise? They wouldn't be hearing me, but because I'm full of fear. But if I get my fear out, talk to someone, then when I see them, I can talk with confidence. So it's good to be aware of how you feel before you confront a person. So another step before you confront a person about an issue is ask for their point of view. So an example is, if someone has taken your belongings, you could jump to the conclusion and say, you spat in it, you stole it. Why not check with them if they really stole it, and check with them if they really, spat on it. So we can sometimes jump into conclusions, and that will break the communication because it's full of tension and fear. So it's good to check. And another way when you are confronting someone in conflict, is acknowledge and show you understand their point of view. And offer your point of view, admitting it may be different from theirs. and try to work out a win-win situation, and work out what are you going to do to solve the problem. So, okay, Anit, how about we have a bit of a role play and you all can watch. Okay.
Angie will do it.
Oh, you want to be, okay. Angie, you be in the role play?
Me?
Yes. So you come here and okay, and you are unhappy with something I've done. You say that, and then how will I respond to this? No, I mean, sorry. No, you've done something wrong, okay? And how would I approach you? Okay, so just for the case, for this situation, I'll say that you're quite an amiable person, so that you don't get too tough and rough in your role playing, okay?
So I will just be quiet because you are the one who will approach me. You are the one.
Okay. Hi, Angie.
Hi, Geraldine.
Yes. Angie, the other day, I noticed that you didn't fill in the fluid balance chart of the patient in bed number 2.
Is it?
Yes. And it's very, very important that we fill in the chart.
Oh, thank you for telling me. Then I will check.
Oh, before I appreciate you're so thanking him, but I just like to understand it from your perspective. What was happening for you?
Maybe I will check. Maybe I forget, or maybe I did not do it. So I will check because mostly I will take notes if I did that doing the urine measurement.
Okay.
So, but anyway, thank you for telling me.
Yeah. Well, so we can have a discussion. Maybe not to thank me straight away, but do you want to say, like, were you very busy? Is that why that happened? And what was happening for you when because you didn't fill in the fluid balance chart? Just so I can understand.
I remember.
I'm not wanting to judge you or punish you.
I see. Because on that time of duty, I was so busy.
Right.
I was so busy, and then I did not finish my job on time because my time was already consumed, and then yet a lot of job to do. So maybe that's the one reason also that I missed out to do it.
I understand. Okay. Okay. So from my point of view, I understand you're very busy, but as you know, being a nurse, that especially with this patient who's got kidney problems, that it's very important that you record that. So do you kind of get that? Are you okay with that? Understanding that,
yes,
that it's important?
Yeah, now I understand that it is very important also, no matter I am busy. So I need to check and measure the urine.
Yeah.
Because it's very important.
Yeah, is there any way I can support you to do that?
Next time, if I cannot do it, then maybe I will call somebody a help, or maybe you can help me next time.
Yeah, no, that's good, because we're here to help each other, and we want that to be achieved. So that's a great idea. And are you happy with that?
Partly I'm sad because I miss my job, but in other hand, I'm happy because you are telling me that I miss my job to do.
Thank you. I don't like to correct people, but I'm glad that you can see the importance, and I appreciate your honesty. So thank you for your contribution to this work.
Yes, you're welcome.
Good on you. See you later, Angie.
See you.
So in this role play, what the steps I was taking was ask the person their point of view, share my point, listen to them, acknowledge what they're going through, offer my point of view, and then work out a win-win situation and get their feedback. In order for you all as volunteers of this organization, I want you all to do this role play to each other. Yeah? And so if you could break up into pairs, and one of you will be person A, one of you will be person B. And and I've got the sheet of what to do. If there's anyone who has a problem understanding the role play, if they could just ask me some questions. So I'll just give you some forms now for the role play. Okay. So are you two okay there to be Angie and Nick to be partners for the role play? And then you all can decide who's A and who's B. Okay. And okay, and then you try out.
What is that?
And yes, and maybe both. Angie was very, very pleasant, but you can decide to be a little bit less pleasant, but not too bad. You know what I mean? And see how the other person can cope with your thing, but don't make it too hard. You can be a little bit irritated at the beginning, and then you can soften up. So I don't want you to get too dramatic, but have a go at this role play for a while, and I will come and visit you and see how you're going. Are the instructions clear? Have a look for a few minutes.